is it particularly hard for people to move on? Many reasons. One such reason I know of is tied to the concept of continuity in mathematics. What is to the finite is to the infinite. So goes Leibniz or whoever the heck. Now people don't measure up here in that there is no moving on without the plane or space to move to. If a person or point or curve moves from A to B or X to Y, then there is continuity. What happens is that they get stuck to where they are because simply there is no B or Y to talk about. Think about it. People simply assume whatever was, is, and will always be. They get stuck to what is before. They don't allow the present moment to give them the benefit of a surprise, of a success. They simply get stuck to what they have always done in the past. When you know that it is possible for things in the past not to continue in the future because of freedom of the will, well, people simply change their minds about you and your relationship or whatever. Or sickness, or health, or death, or whimsical randomness in the game of life. When you assume that, when you realize that, when you know that, then you simply let go of the past and continually accept the present moment. Whether the most important people, things, ideas, future you really cared about will no longer be there. Moving on takes that into consideration and will always be excited. Don't get stuck in the past. Move on. The present is a present, the gift of the hope of a future. That has always been the case. That's the one without discontinuity points, as told by Leibniz, or whoever the heck. Sometimes when you are most alone, that's the time you realize you are not. The farther one travels, the lesser one knows. The lesser one speaks, the better he teaches. I think I'm quoting I Ching one way or another, but you know the case, right? I mean, the yin and yang of the universe reveals a very mysterious but truthful lesson. There's always, two sides or sometimes many sides of a story. And when you pursue one, you are shown the benefit of the other, the one not chosen. As it is in chess, as I said, it is also in life. There's always that the tyranny of the or, right? Of course, we believe in a win-win situation. That why would you always choose between two alternatives when you can choose both alternatives? Those are nice words to say, but in reality, you choose to step on a place in the road and you don't step on the other side of the road. You choose one path and you don't get to choose the other path. Like simplistically, for example, you take nursing or medtech or business. When you take that, then you will not take up music. Of course, you can be a doctor and then be a musician, but you cannot follow the same passion, the same career with the same 100% commitment. It's not like, okay, you have Beethoven who wants to be a doctor, for example. He pursues music, but then at the end of the day he cures people. No, it's not like that. Beethoven is Beethoven. He becomes the genius that he is, because he only focused on one thing. And when you focus on one thing, just like in chess, when you play f4, that's a committal move, right? You cannot go back anymore. You cannot move f3. You cannot go back one space. When you open that, you open up a great attack on the king side. However, you are also vulnerable to the attacks, especially of the dagger like bishops and queens that can attack your king. As it is in chess, as it is in life, you are faced with always with the yin and the yang. And instead of being sad and worrying about whether I choose a wrong move or a blunderous move, I believe that you don't really weaken your position in life as it is in chess. You don't weaken your position in life with just one move. You weaken it by continually making mistakes. So when you make a mistake, you can always retrace your steps. Not everything, but you can retrace some steps so that you can go to the right path. But always there's that step not taken, there's that path not taken, and you always let go of that, because as I said, there's always the yin and the yang of the choices that we make. And life is so mysterious in a way that, as I said, even if you're in the dark, you see the light. Even if you are in the light, you are sometimes realizing the value of the darkness. And there's always value in the positive and the negative things, even in the universe. So that for me is the itchingness of life. Emily Dickinson once wrote that it will never come again, and that makes life so sweet, or something of that sort, right? And I thought it was that Gwen chick in Spider-Man who said that. Anyways, I have always hammered on the idea of the present moment, of appreciating what is before you, before emotions come in, before you start letting logic play in the future. It is being lost in the moment and appreciating what the current moment gives you over and over and over again. It is when you pick up a cup of coffee and you don't just see the coffee, you see the coffee grower, the grocer, the guy pushing the button, the farmer, everybody. In fact, if you're totally zen, you should see the whole universe unfolding in your cup. Life itself moving endlessly in front of you, just to let you drink that wonderful cup of coffee, though it is just 3 in 1. Appreciate the moment. It is there before you. It doesn't last very long. You turn around, and just like that, it is gone. Day 57, 100 meaningful days. There is no way we can please everybody. As we said in past posts, day 50 something, I don't know, forget it. It is impossible to please even a single person 100% of the time. Hence, it is a pity for any individual to focus on winning other people to his or her side. It is a waste of time and effort. In the end, it is futile, as building a sandcastle against a raging tempest. It is not the purpose of man and women to gain the approval of people. For one, it corresponds not to what is highest in him, but also because it is based on the fickle attitudes of crowds who don't understand you a bit. Hence, say this in your heart: you must win yourself first and no other. Do not assume for a moment that people will understand you in the way you understand yourself, your context and root causes. Yes, just like QMS. When you are fully convinced that you have exerted everything and there is nothing left to chance, if you have turned every corner and nook and cranny and saw everything fit, forgive your humanity, tap yourself on the back and move on. Do not rely on the approval of other people. Les Brown puts it simply, quoting his favorite teacher, Mr. Washington: someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. Be the best you can be. Day 102, 365 meaningful days. The quest for meaning in this life is something that presents itself to a few people. It is more popular to seek ways to be rich or to find forever. But living a meaningful life, not quite so. Hence, people go around in circles, looking for ways to be happy but couldn't find them. Of discovering the mysteries of life, of ending a lifetime search for someone who will hold your hands amidst life battles. And in vain they search, simply because they only look for ways to enjoy themselves, to seek a temporary relief, to make their stay pleasurable. Everything for them is short term, everything is small picture. Find your way out of this maze. Life is not going to last forever. Youth will not last, nor will money. Be content with what you don't have, that you don't really need them, and look at things from the perspective of eternity, of the big picture, of the one that lasts a lifetime. More than that, to infinity and beyond. Day 58, 100 meaningful days. Let me tell you what is truly the fault in our stars. It is that since we were formed from it, and it seems at the end will somehow involve, in all probability, some planetary movement towards the nearest one, and finally the general crunch to one central star, or the lack thereof, which meant either a black hole or some dark matter. Given all that, we have to experiment on them. Far off, unwilling, uncooperative monsters who have been here eons before us and will be around eons after us. Yes, while we move around our own star at the speed of 30 kilometers per second, give or take. And yet one poetic evening, looking beyond the clear dark skies, light millenniums or whatever the plural is away, we look at one or two or three of them and invent stories and romances, and then we end up watching some stupid movie about the fault in our stars. And even though I will probably end up watching anyway, I will more or less challenge the meaning of the stars as a poetic nuisance and something that makes us cower in agreement. We wear from the stars, and we will end up in them. There is no poetry in that, nor even in their arrangements. The poetry lies in between the beginning and the ending, that which we call life, more or less, which I spend less and less looking at some stars, more or less.